Hey guys, and welcome back to the What's the Crack podcast. Today's guest, we have Sammi Dodger Mines.
It's me.
Sorry, we don't have an audience. So
No, that's
you're
fine.
Stuck with me.
I just use the imaginary audience. It's just
Literally.
It's like anywhere I go, there's an audience in my mind. Like, do you ever do that thing where you pretend there's theme music as you're like walking down the road?
My BPD makes me think I'm the main character. Literally. In everything. In absolutely everything. It's like, everyone's looking at me right now and it's like, no, you're just mentally ill.
The biggest one for me, I'll be walking through a tube station, and you know when a train goes past and the wind, like
I'm like, I'm someone's dream girl.
Oh no, me, it's walking away from an action scene, like something's just blown up behind me, and I'm just like,
no, I want to be rom-com interest, like the Zoe Deschanel of their life. You know?
No, I definitely want to be like, what's his name, Jason Statham.
Yeah,
just give, like, I'll shave my head and everything.
I love him so much.
He's so good.
But before we get into this. What would you describe your job as, so people know?
So I am a comedian. I am. I know. I'm a stand-up comedian and influencer.
Influencer.
Yeah, influencer club.
She said the word. I didn't.
The dirty word. I am an influencer. Content creator, mainly on TikTok and Twitch. I tried YouTube once.
Didn't get on.
A lot of effort.
It is though.
It really is. Like, I like, props to any YouTube creator, because like,
thank you very much.
I know, you're welcome. I just can't. Like, the amount of times I've tried to sit and edit a video for YouTube, and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like,
I think it's really funny whenever I spent so many years doing YouTube content and then downloaded TikTok and was like, what is this? This is great. Why is this so easy?
This is so easy.
I was like pooping out content every single day. I was like, this is so easy. Like, I can't complain.
Yeah, that was like me, like when I first started doing TikTok, and like before I decided to take it seriously and bits like that. Like, I was pumping out like 12 videos a day. Like,
yeah, because it was so easy.
It's just so simple.
And at the time, I remember in like 2021, it was so easy to get followers.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, anything went viral, and it was so easy to get followers.
Before they decided to like screw the algorithm.
I like that algorithm more because I found so many funny people that way.
Absolutely. Like, the amount of people I don't see on my For You page anymore that, like, and then they'll like randomly pop up like 6 months later, and I'm like, I forgot you existed.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I like the old algorithm, not for just the benefits, but just as a viewer.
Just as someone who watches content. Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I'm exactly the same.
So you do stand up.
I do.
How did you get into that world?
Sheer accident.
You're just like, I'm just so funny. It happened to me.
I'd like to say that I'm just a natural prodigy and I'm just so good, but no, absolute fucking accident.
So like, what was your how did you end up on your first gig, on your first stage?
First ever gig I did, I was 15.
Really?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be a stand-up comic from when like I was young.
Okay.
And it was all because like me and my brothers decided to watch a VHS tape of a Lee Evans show.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother turning to me and being like, right, so the words he's gonna use, because obviously he cusses a lot. I was like, the words he's gonna use, don't say in front of mum and dad.
Yes, fair. Pre-warning.
Literally. And I remember watching it and just being like so obsessed.
Yeah.
With like this world, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be funny. And then the first gig I ever did, it was at a caravan park in Blackpool. I was on holiday with my family, and I was like essentially bugging the guy who does like the organising of the acts and things like that to be like, I know I don't work here, but like, you know, just give me a chance.
You could give me my first gig.
Literally. And he was really nice, and he was like, you know what, you can have like 5 minutes on stage while we're setting up for the magic act that's going on. So I did it, and people actually laughed. So I think it was probably out of pee. But
like, did you have material ready?
No.
Just rolled with it.
I just rolled with it. Like, I'm pretty sure I did a bunch of one-liners, like really bad dad jokes.
But still, you still did it.
But it was like my first experience with it. I think like my first like proper gig that I'd actually prepped for was when I was 20.
Okay, cool.
So like I'd done like comedy, like really shitty comedy shows for like from like 15 to 19.
What kind of comedy shows?
Mainly just like local pubs and clubs and bits like that,
like so open mic kind of stuff.
Open mic kind of stuff, like talent contests and things like that. Nothing like to what I do now.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I think it's great. Any comedian like has the experience of essentially like doing the shitty clubs first anyway.
Oh yeah. It's the same with music. You gotta play the crap places.
But yeah, and I part of me almost like misses some of that. Like there's occasions that I will just go to an open mic night, just to be like, I miss this. Like
probably good practice too.
Yeah,
because it's like you will find out in an open mic night whether or not your jokes are funny.
You learn very quickly, like as well, about the demographic of the audience. So like I have to at the moment, because I don't have like my specific like, even though I have my specific styles and things like that, because I'm not like a super well known name or anything like that, I change my comedy slightly depending on where I am in the country.
Yeah, okay,
because otherwise some jokes people won't understand. There's also certain areas of the country that there's certain things you can't say. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Like the amount of times I've been caught out and so, oh, maybe I shouldn't have made that joke.
So what kind of like comedy do you do? Like what do you joke about?
So
like, what topics are in your material?
A big thing for me, so I don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic female comedians out there, but one thing I noticed when I first started that is a lot of it's like talking about your kids, talking about periods, talking about girl problems, and I just hated that. Yeah. I was just like, it's funny, and when it's like a well-told joke, I like appreciate it and bits like that, but it's just so wasn't me. And I always found like there was a stigma, especially when I was younger, that girls couldn't tell certain jokes that boys could tell because it wouldn't be funny if it was coming out of a girl's mouth. And that's where the whole like stigma of like women aren't funny thing came from.
Hate that
I hate
so
it
much. Because like outside of stand-up comedy, I struggle to find a lot of men funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So bad. No shade to men. I just find myself in social situations that through years of being on awkward dates, I would laugh at the jokes of these men and feed their ego and blah blah blah. And now I find myself when I'm older and I'm not trying to win men over and try and get them to like me. I just don't laugh at the jokes that aren't funny. Yeah. And it's kind of woken me up to how many unfunny jokes they tell. Literally. And I'm like, but women are funny, sure, yeah, great.
Literally.
But so again, not all men. Yeah.
Not all men, obviously. No, it's something that I find now as well, that I actually have guys coming up to me and be like, oh, is this funny? And I'm just like, no. Like the amount of times that like people want my approval for comedy now.
Oh right, I thought you meant they were coming up to you after a set and going, is this funny?
Yeah. Could you imagine? I was like, how does that work?
Yeah, no. So they're sending you their jokes for like approval, just to like screen them.
And like years ago, that never would have happened.
Well, that's very flattering.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I will take this and tell you your comedy's awful. Like, it's fine. But
so you're not cracking the
stereotypical
period ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I've got jokes about like exes and things like that, but
absolutely,
like my main thing is I wanted to be able to tell like the more crude, offensive jokes that men seem to be able to get away with that women can't necessarily. So I decided, I was like, flip the script, I'm gonna do this and I don't care what anyone says, and people were finding it funny.
Sick, dude.
Which was awesome, and I was like, yay, I'm representing myself well, this is great. And in the coming years, there's been so many more female comedians that are a bit more like that.
A bit more edgy.
Yeah, a bit more edgy, aren't afraid to say what's genuinely on their minds and things like that. And like, it's getting to a point now that there are female comedians that are genuinely giving the men a run for their money.
Absolutely.
Because like when most people like would think of a comedian, you know, you'd have like Russell Howard come to brain, or like Jimmy Carr or whatever. You'd never like automatically think of a woman, where now people are talking about like Ashley and things like that, where she's just so good, and she's Irish, so you'd like her a lot.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I know quite a lot of stand-up females American, and like I follow so many, like Whitney Cummings, love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Oh my god, the other girl's name doesn't come to my brain, but there's like a list of like female comedians that I just think are absolutely brilliant.
So good.
But I'm so behind on the UK circuit, and I don't know why that is. I think it's because mostly Netflix ships out American content.
Yeah,
so you know,
I always say to people, like in general, if there is a comedy club near you, go.
I went to one recently, and hear me out. Okay, there was 2 girls on the lineup, and I don't know if you've ever had this feeling before. I felt so bad. First girl that went up, hilarious. I peed a little. I
love that.
Yeah. Second woman went up, and I was like, this is why people think women are funny.
Yeah, no, it happens. Like the amount of times I have been like, especially if you're doing like workshops and things like that. Yeah. And I'll be sitting there and I'm just like, oh, please don't think of me in this way. Like, cause
dude, it was so bad.
Sometimes it's really painful as well.
Like she was telling this story about like how she drank too much, and she was trying to make it out like she drank so much, right? And she snuck into this conference room when she got back to her hotel, and they had like all these freshly laid pastries out. She made it out like this was like so bad. She was so drunk that she stole some pastries, and she's like, I sat in my room and I ate like 3 pastries. I was like, babes, I do that on the weekend.
That's literally my
sober.
That's my morning.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like,
literally.
and you think that's funny. And half of her set was done in a like Valley Girl California accent.
Oh,
like,
God,
oh my God. And I was like, babes, you've had that voice on now for 10 solid minutes. Can you please stop? Because it's actually grating.
Literally.
And that was her set. And I was like, you're giving everybody a bad name.
Literally. I always say with story comedy anyway, because I'm very much like that. I'm observational and like story-based comedy. That's kind of like what my genre would be classed as.
Yeah.
I've got like stories that aren't like as exciting as that I make them sound. Like all my stuff's truthful and bits like that, but like I'll obviously amp up some of the details to make it funny and bits like that. But there are so many people that are just like, oh yeah, stand-up's really easy, and then they'll like try and tell a story that was funny in their little group of friends, and I'm just like, my guy, there is a technique to it. I'm
like,
really sorry.
As soon as someone says you had to be there, I'm like,
oh yeah, no, it obviously was not that funny if I had to be there for
wasn't
it.
that good.
Yeah.
You didn't land. Your comedic timing, awful.
That's the worst thing. Like,
I think that would annoy me the most about being a comedian is everybody I think deep down thinks they're really funny.
oh, constantly. But
No.
it's the one thing I hate the most though. I think the biggest pet peeve of mine is when someone goes like, oh, what do you do for a job? I'm like, oh, I'm a comedian. They're like, oh, tell us a joke then. Get out, pay me first. Like,
That happens to me with singing.
I can imagine it.
And I always just kind of go, would you ask a plumber to plumb your house for free?
literally.
Because I'm not going to sing for you.
No.
But obviously, I don't always do that. It's only if they're being rude.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, most of the time, I'm like, I'm sorry.
I did it over myself. Literally. But like, the moment someone asks me, "Oh, tell us a joke," I'm just like, I immediately hate you as a person.
I would just say your mum.
Yeah. Literally.
Because
I'm gonna use that
you're
from now on.
welcome.
Like,
Because that's the only way I would get out of that scenario.
normally I just walk away. That's my go-to. Is I just look at them and walk away.
Because I've only had it whenever people ask me about my TikTok. And they're like, what's your TikTok content? Is it all music? And I'm like, babes, it's like 2% music and the rest is jokes. And
Just
they're like,
me
oh,
having
so like you tell jokes? And I'm like,
I think the worst thing for me as well is the moment someone says for me to actually be funny, like, and I'm not like prepping to be on stage or anything like that. My mind goes blank.
absolutely.
Like, every single joke I've ever written in my life no longer exists. Like,
anytime anyone asks me to tell them a joke at all, I'm like, I've gone blank.
I normally
I've never been told a joke in my life.
I normally end up pulling out one of the worst jokes on the planet.
Which
it's what do you say to a woman with 2 black eyes?
Don't know.
Nothing. You've already told her twice.
Oh, jeez.
It's so bad, but it's also like one of my favourite jokes. So it's like, yeah, domestic violence is hilarious, guys. You know?
Oh, it's like one of those ones where it's like, I shouldn't laugh. I always just do. Oh my God, this is so stereotypical. Anytime somebody asks me for a joke, I'm just like, my life.
That's the constant one.
Yeah. Oh, this is go-to for me because I'm like,
I remember doing a TikTok video where I was like, guys, I'm in like a shitty mood. Tell me your favourite jokes. And then people would stitch it with just like, my life's a joke. And I'm like, you're meant to try and be making me feel better, not worse. Like,
that happens. Yeah. My issue is like, because I trauma dump all over my TikTok.
I do that too. Well, not on TikTok. I also do it on Twitch.
You do it on Twitch, yeah. I get people that like stitch my video and then tell me their really, really traumatic life story, and I'm like,
oh no.
Have you tried the pasta? The pasta's
Because
great.
the pasta's great. Have you ever done it though? Like you'll end up like venting, and then someone will like stitch it or comment or something like that, and you're like, no, this is my trauma we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
We're talking about me. This is my platform. Everything's about me. I'm the main character.
literally, I'm the creator. Like, let me have my moment.
Yeah, literally. So you said, joking about trauma, you talk about it on Twitch.
Constantly.
Because I had a stalk of your TikTok.
You had a stalk.
I had a little stalk. I have to do some
I love that, though.
research. It just gives me an excuse to watch content.
Literally, like, I love people stalking me, though. Like, when I see someone, like, go through my videos and like one from, like, 2019, I'm like...
No, I was really well behaved because I learnt my lesson. Because I did it to someone else where I went. I did it to Console where I accidentally liked videos from like a year ago, and I was like, "Oh no, don't bring this up to me." So I didn't like any. Not that I don't like them. It's just like I didn't want you getting random notifications from me, and I was like, "She's gonna think I'm a weirdo." But because I know about your personal story because we share a friend group.
We do, yeah.
So I know about some of we've never had a deep chat about it.
We haven't.
But I know of certain points,
like little key bits.
Yeah. So I didn't see any of it on your TikTok.
Yeah, I think initially when I started TikTok, I kind of had I had no intention of getting a following in the first place.
Who does?
Like, it literally sheer accident. And when my following started building up, I kind of like had this thing where I was like, I have no intention of really talking about my like mental health or anything like that on TikTok. I feel like this is a kind of my safe space. Like,
Nice.
This is where I want to make people smile and laugh, because that's the biggest thing as a comedian anyway. Like, your entire job is to make other people laugh.
Absolutely.
Which is really detrimental to your own health, to be honest, because you'll be having the worst fucking day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, jokes.
Yeah,
Like,
literally
all the time. So I had no intention of speaking about it, mainly because I thought most people wouldn't be interested as well.
And proof that apparently they are.
Apparently they are. Like, you hit a gold mine there.
Like, you want me to talk about my crippling mental health? Ooh, dance monkey dance.
Literally. But no, I thought like no one's going to be interested in this kind of thing, and then I started talking about it like briefly on Twitch, and it's mainly because people had like questions and stuff, because obviously the difference between TikTok and Twitch is you've got a live chat, and
interactive.
Exactly.
They got questions, my gal.
They got questions, and the moment things like that started coming, I was like, okay, I'm okay talking about this kind of thing. And I started talking about my past and like my history of addiction and bits like that. And even though there were like obviously the shitheads that are just like,
oh yeah, everybody loves to say you're not an addict when you're an addict.
It's my favorite thing.
It's always some guy like named Steve or something.
My favorite comment I ever got, and it was on my one TikTok video about addiction. It was just like, can you just get some self-control? And I was just like, my guy.
I did not go to rehab for you to tell me that.
Literally. If I thought that I could just get self-control, my life would be so much easier.
Can you imagine that's the first thing that comes out of your therapist's mouth when you go into rehab?
Oh my gosh.
Have you thought about having some self-control?
Literally.
I'd be like,
shit, I'm fixed.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
I never even thought about it like that.
Right?
Like, oh my god.
You know what? When you lay it out so clearly,
like,
you're right.
Like, honestly, this mind-blowing information that I
Yeah.
can just fix myself.
So do you joke about your addiction on stage?
Constantly. Yeah.
Nice.
The big thing for me is like, I feel like some of the best comedians have severe trauma.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
And like I was trying to figure out like, because they say that a lot, and then I used to be like, well, Chris D'Elia doesn't drink, doesn't do this, blah 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 blah, but then it turned out he was doing other stuff,
other things.
So I was like, they are fucked up.
Yeah, literally. And I think it's because there's almost like a relatability to it as well. But there's also like that Schadenfreude of like, people are taking pleasure in your pain. And as like depressing as that is, that's why most comedians use it. So there's like one of my personal favorite comedians, his name's Christopher Titus. He has had he makes my life look like an episode of Neighbours, like in comparison to like what he's been through. So like his dad was alcoholic, his mum was schizophrenic and tried to kill him when he was a kid.
Beautiful.
His brother was an addict. And like he makes jokes about it constantly. Like my favorite thing that like he ever joked about, he turned around and was like, I had a sick note for school that had to be signed by my mum, but because she was in like a child state with her illness, they were like, this is your signature. And like all of the signatures and all of these forms would be a different signature, and he'd just turn around and be like, every time they're like, we're gonna call your mother, and he was like, oh, I can't wait to see who it is today. Like, it's just so good.
Oh damn.
But he like, it's super bad history, but like I've always kind of had that mentality anyway. If you don't laugh about it, you're gonna cry about it.
That's what I think.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I'll make like the worst joke about me shooting up or ODing in a toilet, like, because it's grand, like,
because it's funny.
It's because it's funny, and
but then people leave comments or like they question you and they're like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "No, shut up. I'm joking about my trauma. Leave me alone.
Literally,
laugh. That's the point.
I'm talking about the worst parts of my life. Laugh with me."
Yeah, literally.
Otherwise, I will cry.
Yeah, because my therapist tells me off all the time.
Yeah,
because she's like, "You're so funny, but you really need to start looking at why you're joking about these things." And I'm like, because they're so funny.
Because they're hilarious to me, obviously.
Why don't you get my trauma jokes?
Literally. I remember with my addiction nurse, she turned around to me and she was just like, maybe you shouldn't like refer and talk about drugs so much because it might cause relapse and things. I'm like, but then I'd have to quit my job because it's literally what I talk about on
That's
stage.
my job.
Like, I need the trauma to be able to be funny.
Yeah, no, it's part and parcel. I think every comedian, I do feel like I've yet to see one now. Because Chris D'Elia was my only example. Now he's gone because he's fucked up. Who's left that's mentally sane? I don't know.
I don't know, but I kind of appreciate that most of them aren't, because then when you go on tour with people, you're just like, oh, you relate to me. This is great.
Absolutely. And it's like all bets are off. You can talk about whatever you want.
Literally.
So you very casually mentioned shooting up.
Shooting up, yes. We do love it.
When we talked about addiction, I think most people would have assumed like the style of addiction that I had, where I was prescription drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Whereas you went on the hard stuff.
I just decided to go full like Skins episode.
Oh yeah, watch this one episode of Skins.
Literally, I was just like, Effie is like so cool. Like, no. I was a heroin addict.
Beautiful.
Which is one of my favourite things when people go, you don't look like a heroin addict. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. What does a heroin addict look like?
Literally, like.
I would be like, so you're calling me fat?
Although you could think of it the other way, it's like, oh my god, she thinks I'm skinny.
Yeah, like literally. Someone said that on one of my YouTube videos or my TikTok videos where I talked about being an addict, and they were like, they basically said that I looked like a 40-year-old skinny addict or something, and I just put the audio in of like, so you think that I'm skinny?
I had a really similar thing when someone, like, when I was doing a cosplay video, like I was dressed as Mary Jane, and someone went, "You're too skinny to cosplay as Mary Jane," and I was like, "I'm sorry, did you just call me skinny?"
Yeah, dying on the inside.
Like, feed my problems.
Yeah, literally. Oh, it's so dangerous, isn't it? It's awful.
Is.
So you got on the good stuff. Did you not, listen in school whenever they said don't try heroin?
I mean, you'd like to think that I did.
Because like, you know what? Whenever, when it comes to like trying things, I used to always be like, everything but heroin.
That's like most people's rule. I think I must have been ill that day at school.
You skipped it.
Yeah, I skipped that day.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh, what's this brown powder?
You were doing lines in the bathroom at like 7 years old.
Mate, I knew how to cut a line of coke so clean.
Oh,
like, by the time I was 5.
You got your fucking library card out.
Just use my pacifier as a baby. Like, why not?
Doing lines off Biff and Chip books.
Just do a drip. Just stick it in there. Sorted.
Awful. So, but explain to me how the heck you ended up doing heroin.
So I'm one of the stereotypical ones where it was like a build up. It was like I had a gateway drug of weed.
What was your gateway was weed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I'm so against people assuming that weed is a gateway drug, because it's not always. It just was for me because I was in a bad place.
Okay, fair.
So when I was 15, I was dating this guy, as you do. It always starts with a guy.
It always starts with don't even talk.
I was dating this guy, and initially, like, he was considerably older than me anyway, which is never a good start.
And not when you said you were 15. Let's reverse back to that. Was this a legal relationship?
It was after a month of us being together.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So,
okay, so it started off not.
It started when I was just about to turn 16.
And what age were they?
They were 23.
Cradle snatcher. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you do when you're a kid.
But you're just so mature for your age.
Literally. Oh my god, that just sent shivers down my back.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Literally, no, it's so true. Like, the amount of times it's like, you're just really mature for your age, and like, I really.
I hate it. I hate it. It's like, I'm young, dumb, and malleable.
Literally, like,
love me.
Actually grooming me right now.
Literally.
But yeah, so I started dating him, and to be fair, the relationship was really good to start with. Like,
they always are.
Other than the fact that he was considerably older than me, like, there wasn't any like initial like gaslighting or manipulation or anything like that. But then when I turned 16, his dad died.
Oh.
And he changed very dramatically, very quickly.
Oh no.
And immediately that's when the like little things started to come out. So it was like, if I didn't want to sleep with him that day, it's because I wasn't attracted to him anymore. Or I'd be getting messages being like, if you don't come over now, I'm going to kill myself, kind of thing. And I'm just like...
Love it.
Yeah, but because I was young and naive, I was like, I love him so much, I don't want him to hurt himself and bits like that, which I know he probably wouldn't have.
No, that's always the way.
Yeah, but it's like, obviously, I didn't know any different. Especially
not when you're that age. No.
And it was also like my first relationship. Like, I thought that this was what a relationship was. Because I'd never like... Not any different.
That's the thing, because like all of these kind of toxic things, like guys threatening to kill themselves, because it happened to me around the same age as well. I had a guy threatening to kill himself, and I was just like, no, you're not. And I just went, I just moved on. Because, like, at the start, I was really sympathetic, and I was, like, trying to comfort him through our breakup. And then I was like, I don't think you're actually going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I basically got my brother to tell him to leave me alone.
Mood.
Yeah, because he was in my brother's class.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
Awkward.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Super awkward.
So anyway, he gets really, really...
He gets really, really, like, gaslighting, manipulate, like, tells me what I can and can't wear, tells me what I can and can't eat.
Great.
Kind of thing. And then the worst happened where he started putting drugs in my food. So he ended up, like, I found this out a couple of years later, but he got diagnosed with Munchausen's by proxy.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
So he was trying to make me sick. By
he wanted you to be the victim.
Yeah.
Munchausen's by proxy, by the way, to anyone who doesn't know what that means, it's where you have this need to care for someone else when they're sick, and it tends to be mothers like turn against their children, make their children sick from whenever they're born, and lie to doctors, tell them that they have conditions that they don't have, so that they can get them medical help, and just perpetually look after a sick person. So that's that. But then Munchausen's syndrome on its own.
When you do it to yourself.
It's when you do it to yourself, so you start lying about conditions that you have. But so he was trying to get you sick.
He was trying to make me sick.
Oh my God.
Eventually, I kind of like so I did get really ill. Like I just was tired all the time, like I was sweating, I constantly had a fever and things like that. And then I kind of find out because as I was like having one of those like cold sweat fevers, and I was like on the couch, and this was when I was 17, so there was like a year of this. And I was like sweating and like dragged myself to the kitchen and saw him put shit in my food.
What was he putting in it?
I actually, to this day, I don't know.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I wish that I'd like reported it and bits like that.
Yeah.
But like I just didn't. I was like, okay, I'm leaving you now.
You're just so happy to be out of it.
Yeah.
That you're like, you forget
100%.
about like the actual filing of anything.
100%. And then we broke up.
Good.
I'm really glad about that one.
Yeah. No, I'm a dumb girl. I would have stayed.
Oh really?
I can fix him.
Oh no.
Yeah. This is how I've been traumatized by men my whole life. Anyway,
mood. Yeah. So I left him. And then I started getting messages on my phone, like probably about a month later. From people I didn't know, being like, "Oh, I don't know if you know this, but there are naked photos of you on this revenge porn website." And I was like, what? 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 Because the thing was, is that I had sent him like 2 or 3 nudes.
Okay.
But like
with your face in them or without your face in them?
With my face in,
okay,
because I was an idiot.
We live and learn.
We live and learn. But I looked at this website that they'd been all sending me links to and things like that, and most of these photos
were when you were 15.
When I was 15. And they weren't photos that I'd taken. So he had hidden cameras in his room and taken photos and videos of us having sex and doing things and me naked.
So he just was making CP.
Basically, yeah. 100%. That's exactly what it was.
Did you take him to court?
So we tried to. So this is where the meat of the story is.
Jesus Christ. He got away with it. Okay, anyway, tell me.
This is where the meat of the story is. So I got really ashamed really quickly.
Yeah, because you're like, I did wrong. Yeah. I'm at fault.
Exactly that. I refused to tell my parents.
No.
I was like, I don't want to deal with this. And I started pushing it down, like I didn't want to deal with it. And that's when I started smoking weed, because it was helping me get rid of the feeling in my brain.
Yes.
And then weed stopped working. So I moved on to party drugs like ecstasy, cocaine,
the
Molly,
fun stuff.
All the good shit.
Yeah.
Mixing it with alcohol and bits like that. Constantly, I was out until like 3 a.m. every night.
And what age were you at this time?
I was 17.
You're 17, okay.
Yeah, and it slowly progressed that I ended up meeting someone in a nightclub. And they had heroin on them.
As you do,
because they were selling.
Right. Still, who wants to buy heroin in a club?
That's what I thought.
You apparently
me. Apparently I'm that person. But I'd initially bought some Molly off of him.
Okay.
And I ended up like, you know when you're so drunk you just break down emotionally and just cry at everything?
Yeah, I've been there once or twice.
Maybe I feel like you might know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I was so drunk that I just broke down and told this guy my life story and told him that I just wanted something to forget, something to make me feel better.
You're talking to him like he's a GP, yeah.
Literally.
Yeah,
and and he sold me heroin for the first time. I fucked it up big time because like I didn't know how to cook it properly.
I was about to say, I was like, I don't know anything about heroin.
So you can either cook it or you can smoke it.
Yeah, those options I know, but I wouldn't know where to start.
Exactly. So I didn't know what I was doing.
Google.
How
to smoke heroin.
I shit you not, I initially tried to look for it on YouTube. I'm not even joking. I genuinely, I just went to have a look at a YouTube tutorial on how to cook heroin, and I was like,
your cookies must have been fucked up after that, dude. Oh my god. Were you successful? Did anyone teach you how?
The guy himself like looked at me like struggling with it, and he was like, just let me do it, sweetie. And I was just Jesus. Like, so you know, technically that guy's fault. Like, not the shitty ex-boyfriend. It's the guy that I've never seen since who taught me how to cook heroin. All his fault.
We can blame him all you want.
I was just entirely. I didn't do anything wrong, obviously.
No.
Totally not. It's not like I'm the problem. But no, yeah. So that was the first time I'd used it, and like I was one of those people that were immediately hooked to the high.
But what did you do?
I shot it.
Oh, Jesus, you went in.
I went in. I didn't even smoke it. So I literally was sat there. This guy had a because when he gave me the stuff, he kind of gave me like almost like a kit, like
okay.
Like it almost looked like a first aid kit because obviously having the needle there,
ironic,
like that. Yeah, literally. So he showed me how to grind it down, pop it on a spoon, heat up, cook it, liquefy it, how to put it in the needle, how to make sure that you squidge the last bit out, otherwise you're going to put an air bubble in your vein, and that's just not a good idea.
No, it's not. I know that bit.
I know that bit very well.
So did he inject you?
He injected it for me.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And the only way to like describe being on heroin other than having the high is it almost feels like a warm blanket. Like that's very
I get that with
like,
painkillers.
Yeah.
You feel safe.
Literally. So one thing that I found out when I went to rehab was that because a lot of the people that were in my rehab were obviously heroin users and bits like that, and a lot of homeless people actually use heroin to keep warm at night.
I can imagine, yeah.
And like I was like, fuck, I didn't even think about stuff like that. That was like completely off topic, but that just like came into my brain.
Yeah. So you as soon as you did it, you were like, this is the best thing ever.
I just felt so good. Like, I just felt so good, and, like, I hadn't felt good in a really fucking long time.
Yeah.
And the difference is even though, like, heroin highs aren't as long as I probably would have liked them to have been.
How long are they?
Probably about, like, 40 minutes.
Seems like a long time
It's
to me.
that's what I mean. In comparison to, like, cocaine or Molly or bits like that, it's considerably longer. But, like, obviously, me being me, I would have wanted to, like, stick it in at last.
When you're an addict, you're like, yeah. It was the same with alcohol. I'm like, why do I have to keep pumping this?
Why
in
do
my
I have
body?
to keep using it? Why can't I just have one and done? Like,
can I just in vitro this? Come on.
Oh my god, that one was so good.
I know, it was so handy. I would have saved so much money.
I honestly feel like you're onto something there, and like you should
Don't
probably
quote
pen that.
me. Don't quote me. I'm not getting people hooked on heroin.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Literally, I'm just the brains.
So yeah, and that was my first time using. I initially like went back to him again to like purchase, but then that's when I moved away.
Okay.
So I had to find a new dealer really quickly. And
how do you do that? Because like one of the things that kept me sober from drugs was the fact that I moved somewhere where I knew nobody who could sell me drugs.
So because I'd moved to the town where a lot of my friends went to uni,
I
was like, hey, do you know a guy?
Yeah.
Wink, wink, kind of thing. Yeah, and there is like quite a big heroin scene in High Wycombe. That most people, if you'd like talk about it, you wouldn't
assume it.
You wouldn't assume it,
but it's there.
But it is there. And it's probably one of the easier places that I found to get it because I was like moving around the country and bits like that. Because like I just turned into a nomad.
Yeah.
And some places it's very difficult to get heroin.
So like, whilst you're addicted to heroin, what do you like? What's life look like at the minute?
So. To start with, I was still employed, so I was still like working a job.
What was the job?
I worked in a bingo hall.
Lol.
Like
in the sense of like, I can just imagine you doing bingo and then going in the back room and shooting up.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I won't lie. There was like, if you had gone into that bathroom after I'd been in there and used one of those drug wipes where it turns it pink if you put it on the toilet, the whole toilet would have been pink.
It's like legs 11. Like,
I won't lie. I like. There was one time I was having a real bad day with it. So like I was doing what's called the cash line box, and the cash line box was just where you keep all the money, kind of thing. Which, don't put an addict around a lot of
just
money. Yeah, don't put an addict around a lot of money. But no one was looking, and there was like a little door, so I like just cut up a line.
Just went. But like, what did you do with that?
So I used my work card, cut up a line of cocaine.
Oh, it was a line of coke.
It was like, because I was using other things as well. I was adventurous.
Yeah. You went out. You know, you did
my
more.
main thing was heroin, but like I'd put like amphetamines on my cornflakes. Like
yeah,
sugar,
your diet was spread.
Yeah,
it's great.
Exactly.
We
like,
respect
you can't
it.
have too much of a good thing. So yeah, I cut up a line of coke with my work pass, and then obviously this is the money booth, so there's literally a £20 note in front of me. I just rolled it and snorted.
And then they're like, "Why is there a rolled up note, guys?"
And I was just like, "Oh, I just got given it like that."
Oh Jesus!
And like scratch my nose. It's like, sorry guys.
While your throat's dripping.
Yeah, but no, there was quite a few times, and the thing is that there was a co-worker there called Nat who was very into smoking weed.
Nice.
And I just like on breaks, because we'd had our breaks at the same time, we'd just go back to her house and smoke a joint, and then I'd shoot up and then go back to work.
So you were like high on heroin at work?
Yeah, constantly.
How do you like like? Because I just can't imagine functioning.
I didn't. Like,
okay.
So that's how I ended up losing my job.
What did they do? So how did they fire you?
So initially, it's actually because I stole from the company.
Nice.
To feed the addiction,
obviously.
Of course,
yeah.
So I was initially quite smart about it. Like, don't steal things. Like, to start with, like, I
don't do that.
Don't be an asshole. Don't steal things. Like, obviously, I never would now because I have somewhat of a moral compass.
But it's very hard to explain stealing
when you've got
when you're an addict.
Yeah, 100%.
Versus you as a sober person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, initially I was quite smart with it. So we had like floats of money that would go in like the tills and bits like that for like the bar, the food area kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what I'd end up doing is we had these coffee machines.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be like the change that was given out of them would be part of the floats.
Mm-hmm.
So I would put the money in there. People would buy their coffees, but at the end of the night I would reprogram the coffee machine to say that like more cups of coffee had been made than was made, and then just take the extra. Yeah. And then I decided to get brave and started stealing like 50 quid from the bar every now and again, which was so dumb.
You just get brazen.
Yeah.
The further into addiction you go.
The moment I realised I got away with the first time, I was like, okay, what can I do to get more this time, kind of thing. Yeah, I got fired pretty quick. I mean, to be fair, I actually didn't get fired. I got like a notice saying that I had like a meeting, like a disciplinary, and I knew I was going to get fired if like I went into that disciplinary. So
you're like, I'm out.
I literally was like, here's my notice with immediate effect. Okay, bye.
So like this might be a weird question to ask. All right, so income versus price of heroin. What are we talking about here? Because like I don't know how much heroin is. I don't know how much you earn. I don't know how much.
So for good heroin, probably about 80 quid per gram for good shit.
But like, how much grams do you take per one session?
God, this is where like it throws me back because I used to use considerably more than most people.
Okay.
Like, so I'd probably say like half a gram per session for me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. I mean, don't do heroin in general.
Please don't.
Don't do heroin in general. But for
so that was like 2 uses out of that purchase.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
Jesus.
80 quid.
80 pounds.
Yeah, and that was for like good stuff that you knew hadn't been like cut with battery acid.
Yeah.
If you could get it for like 40, 50, but like I just didn't trust that kind of price.
Yeah.
Obviously financially that was impossible for me. Now I had lost my job. It was financially impossible for me when I had my job.
I was about to say,
I forewent food. I was just like, heroin, it's all right. I'm no longer hungry.
Yeah, because I gave up on food whenever I was drinking because I was like, eating's cheating.
Yeah, literally.
And I need the money for booze.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
The math's not mathing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like I then ended up going clubbing a lot. I'd never pay for my own drinks because I was that girl that was like, if I wear a lower cut enough top,
Yeah, and you were like
people,
full
but-
heroin shake, so
Yeah,
you're like
exactly.
rolling.
So then I wouldn't have to spend money, and I could just save what any money I did have to buy heroin.
Yeah.
And then that's when I met my good old friend
Oh no.
in High Wycombe, who introduced me to prostitution and the wonderful world of being a hooker.
Yeah, guys, it just took a twist.
I just
Prepare yourself, buckle your seatbelt.
I'm like an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah,
mate. Like
we're going down.
Literally.
I'm yelling timber. Let's go.
Literally.
So,
Yeah.
heroin addict. Now we're in the prostitution chapter.
Yep. So he basically kind of like I knew him from school, which was weird.
Okay.
I was like, "Oh hi," and he was like, "Hi," and he saw that I was like using. You can fucking tell when someone's on something, kind of thing. And we just decided to have a catch up. And I just told him that I lost my job. We smoked a doobie in the back, kind of thing, and he was just like, "So like, how are you feeding your pleasures?" As he called it, because he didn't want to call it a habit because habit sounds really negative. So it's how are you feeding your pleasures?
Your man's a businessman. Okay.
Literally. And I was like, well, I'm currently not because I don't have a job. So I'm probably just gonna like steal shit, which I already had from like my mum and dad. I'd like stolen money from them and things like that. Like that's like a hurdle that took a long time to get over. And he was like, well,
Do I have the job for you?
I have the job for you? Well, he was like, I should introduce you to my uncle because he helps girls in your situation. And I was like, okay, sure.
I'll take all the help I can get.
Literally. So yeah, I met with his uncle, and it was like essentially like, I don't want to say a ring of prostitution, but that's basically what it was. So the difference is that not all the girls that were working in it were drug addicts, and that's like one thing I like to make super clear to people, because like whenever you think of like a prostitute, they're like, oh, she's either a junkie with kids or she's trying to make money or whatever, like and I hate that negative mindset. I hate that I'm a part of that negative mindset.
Yeah, you're like, I'm one of the statistics, but there's more people that are not druggies.
There are some people that do it to like get through like medical stuff or school when it comes to America and stuff like that, and I can understand it. Like I get it.
Like if you're not precious about it,
exactly.
If
you gotta flown it,
yeah. If you can be making money from it,
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of like I got to the point that they were like, yeah, we want you to do this, and I was like, okay, and it literally was I'd have sex with people and they'd give me heroin.
Wow.
So I wouldn't
no money,
just drugs.
Wow.
But that's all I cared about. That's all.
But you had a roof over your head because you were living there, right?
I was living there. Yeah. So we were like.
That's like a drug addict's dream, though.
It was so good.
You're like, I got a roof over my head.
They fed me.
Yeah.
They gave me water. They let me get sexually assaulted. It's great.
Oh my God. Okay, that bit, not so much.
It happens.
Oh God, you would think that it wouldn't, because there's like,
if you're in like a good brothel, they have security and stuff.
Okay.
I was not in a good brothel.
Okay.
Like
I love that there's a hierarchy of brothels.
Oh, that so is. Like, I'm not even joking.
I like to think there's like a Hilton version of a brothel.
Why wasn't I there?
Yeah, but I'm just like, I just hope that exists. No, I'm kidding.
Like, why was I not good enough for that?
Yeah.
But the really awkward thing for me is that I was popular, but for the wrong reasons.
Oh no.
So I don't look my age. I have never looked my age.
Yes.
So I was like 17, almost 18. But I looked like I was 12, so I'd be made to wear certain clothing because there was a certain clientele that...
Yay! I only know this because I dated a guy who it took me too long to put one and one together, that's what he was into once. Yeah, because I never looked my age until lockdown, I don't feel like. And then he would always ask me to wear like certain items of clothing. And it took me so long.
The moment they put teddy bears in my room was when I like lost it.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, this is fucked up.
You're like, this is what I'm.
But I didn't care. This is the problem, because my habit was being fed. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll sleep with pedophiles. I don't mind. Like,
oh no!
Like,
but it's awful.
It's so disgusting now. Yeah. Like when I think about it now, it's vile. But then I look back at like what I was when I was in that phase, and it was like the normalest thing to me. And that's
You
what
didn't think twice about it.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing, like, especially when I, like, the whole, like, obviously PTSD side of things and depression came into, like, the mix of the heroin.
Yep.
My depression, like, it wasn't so much like a I didn't want to live anymore kind of thing. My big thing was I just didn't care about anything or anyone.
You're out there playing chicken in traffic.
Literally. I just did. There was nothing, like, sparking my interest. Like, everything was boring. Everything was dull. I
You just didn't care about
hurting
anything.
people's feelings was not something I gave a shite about.
Yeah,
Like,
well, because partially in that time you're like, I don't have feelings, so you probably don't have feelings.
literally.
So I'm gonna treat you like you don't have feelings because I don't have feelings.
Because I'm mirroring myself onto you and assuming that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
how long did you stay in this Dodge brothel?
So I was there. I left for a bit because of reasons, and then I came back. And it was until I was about 19.
Wow.
Because my mum ended up being like, I'm going to take... It was after my 5th overdose.
Ah.
And my mum came and found me in hospital. I'd already been taken to hospital. But
Okay, yeah. Did she put one on one together, like where you were?
Not really, because to start with, she didn't even know I was on drugs.
Oh, my God, dude.
So after my 5th overdose is when I told her.
Were the overdoses on purpose or accident?
Accidental.
Okay,
so,
that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was solely I just used too much gear, and just overdosed on it.
I always wonder about this. Okay, I'm a stingy person. I do wonder about overdoses when people take too much drugs. I'm like, aren't you rationing?
I mean,
if you're broke, why aren't you rationing?
I think most of the times when it happened to me is when I'd been going through a withdrawal period because, like, I hadn't been able to get anything. And when you go through withdrawal heroin, your body starts to stop getting used to having it in its system. So
your tolerance drops.
My tolerance drops. But then I start deciding to use the same amount that I was using before, and it's like, oh shit. Yeah.
So everything just shuts down.
Just goes haywire, frothing at the mouth and shit. It's kind of gross.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. So for me, when my first one, it was really, really bad. Like, I ended up choking on my own vomit. My tongue swelled up. Like, all this, like, sick and foam and shit was coming out of my mouth. I couldn't breathe. I was trying to breathe so hard that I, like, burst the blood vessels in my eyes, and then I just, like, passed out. And then apparently I bit through my tongue, which I don't remember.
Dear
I just
Lord.
woke up and they were like, "You are really fucking lucky to be alive," and I'm just like, "Cool, I'm gonna go shoot up."
When's my next line?
Like, literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
You can't explain that to normal people, though.
No, you can't.
Like, people
They
just don't
just
understand
don't get
addict
it.
mentality.
They're
You're
just
like, this
like-
really bad thing happened, and they're like, so you got sober, and you're like, no, I kept going.
No, I just did it again and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it got to the point. So after my 5th overdose, which when I was like 19, just about to turn 20. Me and my mum had a conversation. I decided that I couldn't do it anymore. Like, it was like a breaking point moment.
You hit that moment.
I hit that moment, and I hit it hard.
Which is lucky, because some people never get that moment.
No, exactly. I think it's because the biggest thing is, like, they had to perform surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I ended up getting sepsis. Because, you know, don't share needles, kids. Don't use needles in general.
Don't.
That's the worst thing that I do. I just remember saying to my mum one of the times I realised I had a problem. I was watching one of the episodes of, like, 1,000 Ways to Die, and this girl died because she was, like, snorting coke with a diamond encrusted straw, and then, like, got impaled on it. And the thing was is that I didn't turn around and be like, oh, don't do drugs. I turned around and said, that's why we don't use metal straws.
Yeah, that's why I use paper.
Yeah, obviously.
Jesus. So you got sepsis from sharing needles.
I got sepsis from sharing needles. So
because, like, once you become so much of an addict,
you don't give a
rules
fuck.
don't really matter anymore.
Not at all.
Like, being careful doesn't really matter anymore.
Like, if someone said to me that they've got heroin but they wanted to use some of it but they've only got one needle, I'm gonna use the
You're
same
like, I'm
needle. Like, I do not care.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up getting sepsis. Luckily, it got caught early enough that it didn't, like, spread. But it did leave me infertile.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that kind of sucks. I don't want kids, which kind of helps.
That helps a little bit, but there's always a party that's like, I want the option.
Yeah, there's a difference between being able to say I don't want kids and saying that I can't have kids.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of sucks and stuff.
Are you infertile to the point where they couldn't take your eggs?
I have had my eggs harvested.
Okay, so you got them on. They're on retainer.
Yeah, they're on ice, like just like the Smirnoff. Like.
Oh Jesus! So that does mean that you can have biological children.
I can have biological children. It's just very much a case of someone else will probably have to carry the child for me.
Yeah, you need a surrogate.
Yeah,
don't call me. I'm kidding.
Well, knowing
I've already offered my surrogacy to someone else.
Janet, though, you'd like end up having a relapse and drinking my baby to death. So
that's a very fair point. Like, that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't want to have kids.
I can make the jokes because I've been through it.
Yeah, you guys are not at home. You're not allowed to make these jokes. No, I'm kidding. You can.
It's fine. We love it.
I think it's brave. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's so brave. But yeah, and that was my low point when they like kind of turned around to me and said, "Oh yeah, you now no longer have this ability that not every other woman on the planet, but a large percentage of the women on the planet can have." And I was like, "I need help." So I told my mum. I was like, "I'm really in deep here," and I think probably about 2 or 3 weeks later, I was in rehab.
Wow. How did you get into rehab? Did you just...
Is
it easier if you're a heroin addict? Because it's hard if you're an alcoholic.
Yeah, it's a lot easier if you're on
the good stuff.
On the good stuff, okay, exactly.
Yeah.
I hate like the reference to it being like, oh, this one is worse than this one. I'm just like, I have seen alcoholics. Like, some of their shit is just as bad as going for heroin withdrawal and stuff. Like,
but I remember the heroin addict that was in with us in rehab, and his withdrawals were so bad.
It's horrific.
Like, he was like in his room barfing, sweating, dissociating, seeing stuff. Like,
drug-induced psychosis is one of the worst things.
So that's why you need to be babysat.
Because I remember I had a specific one. Like, anytime I was anywhere, like if someone had driven me somewhere, I thought that there was a demon coming to kill me, and I wouldn't get out of the car. I don't know where it came from. Like, it was just had this thing. I was just like, it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. If I leave this car, it's going to kill me. Yeah. And then I'd shoot up again, and I was fine.
Yeah, I had the what do you call it? The visions. I don't know what you call
DTs?
it. Not the DTs. It's whenever you start hallucinating is the word I'm looking for.
Ah, that's the one.
So I used to hallucinate and see things and believe things because the BPD doesn't help. So I would obviously start believing things. I genuinely just like thought I seen people, and I'm sweating and I'm hallucinating, and I swear to God I must have had like a bunch of seizures because like the amount of times where I just like knocked out and like woke up. It was awful. Yeah. So it happens with alcohol, but it's worse with heroin.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be. Like I've there was one alcoholic in the rehab facility that I was in, and they were like, it must have been like an alcoholic for like 40 odd years.
Yeah, that's a very different thing. Yeah. That's daily dependence stuff.
Yeah, and like it almost killed him to come off of like to stop drinking. Like,
can do.
That's how and it's crazy. But like, yeah, heroin detox is not fun. I always turn around and say to people that the detox was the most painful part of it.
Because it's physically and emotionally painful.
Oh God, I like cracked ribs from how much I was throwing up. Like, the worst one is the skin peeling for me. So
yeah, it's not really talked about that much, but it's real.
So many things like that you go through with like withdrawal in any kind of sense that like people know like the typical ones they've seen in movies and bits like that, but they don't know about the little ones. And yeah, my eyelashes falling out and my skin peeling off was just really messed up.
I'd be raging because I'd be like, "Guys, body, I'm doing good stuff for you right now. I am getting you off this shit, and you're trying to make me go back on it. What are you doing?
What are you doing? Exactly.
Stop going against me.
Why are you acting this way?
Yeah, like stop being such a diva. Literally, I'm not giving you heroin.
Like, well, I wanted to, but
we're trapped.
Would have been so much easier. But yeah, like I just remember, like I used to make jokes about it. Like, I'd, like, peel off, like, a huge piece of skin, turn around to, like, my nurse and be like, I'm a snake.
Oh, my God, no!
And she'd be like, oh, we need to clean this area. And I was like, I'm a snake, like, waving my skin. Like, it's very gross.
I just, for some reason, skin peeling for me, it's not the one.
Thing.
I'm not squeamish. Skin peeling.
Yeah, it's kind of. Oh
God.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I just wanted to be a snake apparently, so that's what.
How long did like the withdrawals take? How long did you book in for rehab for?
So I was in for 3 months.
Okay, right. And the withdrawal period is how long?
I'd probably say for me, it was probably about 6 weeks.
Jeez.
But some people can be so much quicker, and some people can take a lot longer.
It's how long's a piece of string kind of situation.
It literally is exactly that, because there was one guy in there that like already been in there for like a month and a half, and he was still withdrawing. And I guess it also depends on how much of a dependency you have and things like that as well. So like,
how did you turn up to like classes and stuff and therapies?
I mean, to start with, you don't.
You just couldn't.
You literally just have to get it out your system first.
Yeah.
Because all you are doing when you're in withdrawal is thinking about, how can I get it?
Yeah.
How can I get this drug so that I can stop feeling this shit?
Yeah.
And you had like you said with the guy that you had, you have to be monitored constantly.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere alone. Like, it was
he
the first
was brave.
time.
He made it to dinner though.
That's crazy.
He would turn
I
up for
didn't-
dinner, and I just I didn't know how.
They'd literally give me food and I'd just throw it straight back up.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
couldn't
think
keep
that was his
anything
logic,
down.
was that he was eating so that he had something to throw up because he didn't like dry heaving.
It's why I have a perpetual hate of green tea now, because they give you green tea a lot, because apparently it's really good to help with detox. And I'm just like, this tastes like I'm chewing grass.
Nothing's gonna work. It's just gonna suck.
It's just gonna suck. Don't tell me it's gonna get better. It will eventually, but right now this is
Sandra,
awful.
your herbal remedies aren't gonna work for my heroin addiction.
God. I remember
Stop.
someone telling me to do acupuncture, and I was like, oh yes, needles, absolutely.
Great idea.
Like-
Heroin addict. I love needles. I'm fine.
No,
I'm not
literally.
squeamish. I'll do
It was
it.
the worst thing with COVID when I had to go and get like my jabs and stuff, because
Eek.
I have like a super big like
Aversion.
aversion to needles now. But the thing is that they kind of kick off like phantom detox, like, so they immediately like set your brain into that motion because the sensation. So like they'd be hitting me with the needle and I'd just be like, I was like, finally,
The beast has spoken.
Literally.
Oh Jesus.
So I'd like have to lock myself in my room for like 3 days and give my mum my bank cards so that I didn't go do anything stupid.
Jesus. So complicated.
But I got my booster and stuff, so we're all good.
So no one else has any excuses. She's a heroin addict. I managed to go get her booster.
Literally, if I couldn't do it, then you definitely fucking can.
Right.
Literally,
No one has excuses.
Anti-vaxxers are like my one biggest pet peeve in life.
My issue with anti-vax, hear me out. You know what? It's your body, it's your choice. Whatever. All right.
No, you're dumb.
However, that's a personal opinion.
It's a personal opinion from me.
I almost lost my job because I got whooping cough.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because like they didn't know if I would still be able to sing. So I carried that around for like 4 weeks, not knowing whether or not I'd be able to sing at the end of it. Why is whooping cough coming back? Because people aren't vaccinating their children.
Yep.
That is how it came back. It was gone for a long time. Now it's back. I got it, and that is where my fury with anti-vaxxers came from.
Yeah.
And I will have that fury for the rest of my life, and I think it's justified because I almost lost my dream job.
No, I mean,
So
that's,
suck it.
That's 100% fair. I just
Thank
think people are idiots. I genuinely do.
I don't even bother talking about vax, anti-vax, all that kind of stuff because it's like
I'm the worst.
I just can't be bothered.
I was in London when the vaccine had first come out, and you know that everyone was just like, no, don't take the vaccine.
You're gonna be magnetic.
They're gonna put 5G in us.
I'd be like, yeah, I want my phone signal to be better.
Like, my phone signal sucks. If I can improve it, grand.
Absolutely.
Like,
I'll take it.
Literally. And there was this protest outside Westminster, and I literally walked up to one of these guys and I was like, well, so what we protesting? And he was like, we're protesting the vaccine and things like that. I'm like, oh, okay. Walked away. He was like, do you not want some more information? I was like, no, I have all the information I need. I know that you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's it. That's
literally
all.
left.
God almighty.
And it's just,
I just think you can't argue sometimes with people because
you
they're
literally can't.
when it comes to like mass misinformation, because thank you Facebook, I don't feel like anything you say to anyone who has strong views like that, nothing you say is going to win them over.
Oh, absolutely not.
So I've quit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's like trying to talk to an addict.
right,
They won't get better unless they want to. Like,
honestly, this is what it feels like.
yeah.
And like all of these things, especially a lot of conspiracy theories, because that's all COVID thing was just a mass conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't mess with people who believe in conspiracy theories
I
because
don't
I
think
think
about
you're
it.
one step away from a mental break.
Normally, yeah.
But because
I
a
mean-
lot of people turn to it when they're in bad places in their
I
life.
did. I like.
Well, what was your favorite?
I was super into Flat Earth. Like,
no,
I was so into
you picked
it.
the dumbest one.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I know that Earth is not flat. Like,
Okay, my brain didn't read that sentence. I was like,
did
are
you actually think I thought the world was flat for
Yeah.
a second? No.
Yeah, I was like, who have I invited on my podcast?
No, I know that the world is round. We are.
Thank
a
you for
planet.
simplifying that for my brain.
It's all good. It's all good. But like, I was just like, whoa, we can't see Antarctica. That's crazy. I was, but bear in mind, I was like hopped up on drugs at the time.
You were in a
I
bad
have an
place.
excuse.
Yeah.
And the Mandela effect as well.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I genuinely live for it. I have some personal life Mandela effects for people. Because a lot of times people will be like, you sang Skinny Love. This one happens a lot. People are like, I remember you singing Skinny Love. And I'm like, what if I told you I never sang Skinny Love? And it freaks them out. Because they're like, no, I remember the
remember you doing
performance.
it.
But like, I've had it from at least 60 people where they
All
describe
thought
the
that-
same performance.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, so I'm like, what happened? Can I go back? Can I just like switch dimension now? I'm really bored of this
Literally,
one.
that's so weird.
But I live for a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
It's my
I
favorite.
don't remember Skinny Love, but that's because I didn't watch X Factor.
No, I did. I don't blame you.
Like, literally.
It's fine. You were a bit busy shooting up heroin.
I was. This is really true. But that's one thing.
No, I need to vote for Janet, and then I'll shoot some heroin in a
I'm your
little
biggest
bit.
fan.
You had priorities.
Literally, but it's a funny thing with like talent shows and bits like that because so many people come up to me and just like, oh, you're a comedian, why don't you go on BGT? And I'm just like, because I don't want to work in the caravan parks for the rest of my life. No offense.
The caravan parks won't have me.
Oh,
No, I don't know. I did. I would.
Try.
Butlins have never tried me. So.
really?
Butlins, if you're watching this, feel free to reach out.
Like Butlins,
I might
honestly,
want a holiday.
You're lost. Like,
Can you
go
imagine?
to a water park, bro. Like,
Alton Towers. I
I've
don't
never
know.
been to Butlins. I was poor as a kid.
I was about to say neither have I.
Yeah, it's not a luxury that we could have.
No.
Our holiday was going to the beach, and coming home the same day.
Love it.
Mm.
We were poor in the sense of like we could go on a holiday in Ireland.
Yeah, that's 100% it. Yeah.
So like we were able to drive somewhere and then stay there for like a few days.
Literally.
But like Irish accommodation in the 90s.
Oh,
I'm not
God.
going to say it was that steep of a price.
I was gonna make an IRA joke then, and I realised I probably maybe no.
I mean, you can.
I mean, I was just gonna say, did you have to check the car for bombs? Was like,
No, the police did that for us.
oh, amazing!
Because when you used to cross the border, they'd check your car.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm like super interested in the IRA stuff. Like
I thought you were saying I'm super interested in the IRA, and I was like, we need to talk.
like,
Let me recruit you.
Can you take me? I just want to be one of you.
I want to be Irish so bad.
I remember, like, for some reason, I was going through my mum's old stuff, and my mum used to keep a lot of old newspaper clippings. And when the bomb exploded outside of Harrods,
in England.
yeah, I was like super like interested, so I just went and googled the IRA.
Yeah.
No one look at my Google history, honestly.
I'm about
it's
to
so
say, like,
weird.
how to shoot up heroin. Can I join the IRA?
I think the other one is can you display human remains is in my Google search, because my mum has a skeleton, which we didn't realise until a couple of years ago, because it's one of those science skeletons that was on the little hangy thing.
Can I just point out I was on Skeleton Talk earlier.
I love that.
So I'm here
You're
for this
so
story.
here for it.
Yeah.
It's like one of those scientific ones that you have in like classrooms.
But it's real.
But it's real. It's an actual person. Because like back in the 80s apparently that was normal. And we were like, do we need a license to like display this?
I don't know I don't think there are actually any laws.
So it depends.
Okay.
If it's like in your house and it's not viewable from a window, perfectly fine. If it is viewable from a window where anyone from the public can go and see it and not aware that that's what they could be seeing, you have to have a license for it.
Because I think the laws are different in America because they were
Yeah.
literally displaying skeletons, real skeletons in America in a Huawei store. Yeah, you couldn't write this stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because this guy is really famous on Bone TikTok in America.
I love Bones though. That sounds like super serial killery, but I just find it really interesting. I am a true crimes person though. I'm that stereotypical girl that listens to a true crimes podcast to go to sleep.
Yeah, no, I do the same.
Yeah.
I love it, and everyone makes fun of me for it. But I'm just
No,
trying to
I
think
get
about
it.
how I feel about bones, and I'm like, maybe it's the same way I feel about spiders, where I'm like, I'm cool with spiders, but like not if I get in my bathtub and you're there.
That's fair.
So that's kind of how I feel about bones.
See, that's me with teeth. So I have a really big weird thing with teeth. If teeth aren't where teeth are supposed to be, I freak out.
I would. Why would there be teeth?
So, like, have you ever seen pictures of things that've got, like, Photoshop teeth on them? So, like, an apple that's suddenly got teeth.
Yeah, you got a weird phobia of this.
Yeah,
You're going to bite into an apple and there's like a tooth.
No. But
Are teeth bones?
They're calcium, aren't they? I failed science. I just want to put that out there.
That's why I should know.
You went to school in Ireland. It's okay.
We're shaming me for this already. Oh my god. We have the same exam board, babes. Aha!
I'm not smart.
I got you!
I'm not smart. I don't know my fruits.
Oh, I hate it. So I don't know why I'm comparing bones to teeth.
Yeah, but it's that. And
But
also,
why
like,
do you have a why?
I don't know. I guess I'm like really sensitive about my teeth in general because that's the reason I never did meth. Is because I didn't want to fuck my teeth up.
So that's why you didn't do math.
That's literally the only reason I didn't do math.
I just can't afford the dentistry bill, guys.
That's true. Well, I couldn't afford the fucking habit.
I
Let
thought-
alone the dentistry.
Why does meth mess your teeth up? Do we know?
I don't actually know.
But heroin doesn't.
No, it does, but like not to the same extent.
What does heroin do to your teeth?
Mainly inflames your gums, and you end up like bleeding from your gums quite a lot.
Bleeding gums Murphy.
Yeah, bleeding gums. Simpsons reference.
You're all welcome.
Like, yeah. Anyway, but yeah. Teeth.
What are the what physical side effects are there to heroin that we wouldn't know?
Other than like the skin peeling and bits like that, because that happens when you're using too.
Does it?
Yeah, it's just worse when you're detoxing from it because then it all comes off. But you blister quite easily. You'll bruise quite easily. You lose your sense of taste. Which is weird. I always found that kind of strange because I remember when I was off of it and I ate a cookie for the first time. It was like the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
It was so good. Certain things like similar to like smoking where your nails turn yellow and bits like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's the more serious ones where like your liver can shut down, your kidneys can stop working, your heart can stop working. Luckily I didn't have any of those.
Wowzer.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can.
Cirrhosis isn't just for alcoholics.
Yeah. I'm just. Do you know what saved me?
Mm.
Is I'm afraid of needles.
That's fair. I think more of the planet should be afraid of needles, bro.
Yeah, but like I was petrified of needles.
Oh, okay, so you like had a genuine fear
of it.
Yeah.
So beyond the whole never do heroin, I was like I can't do heroin.
Like I physically
can't. Like I remember when I got really really ill for about a year, I had to get over my fear of needles, and that was the only time because I was getting bloods done like every month.
Yeah.
So I was like, I actually can't be a little bitch about this. I have to get over my fear of needles.
Yeah, I actually genuinely have to.
You just get to the point where they're taking so much blood because I think I had to go in twice or three times in 1 week to get my bloods done. And I was like, this is too serious for me to be a little bitch. Just take my blood.
Yeah. So one of my favourite things that ever happened was I had a friend who's got diabetes. And we were all sitting in a room. Well, it was me, her, and another girl. And she turned to both of us. She was like, I just need to check my blood sugar. She was like, are you guys okay with needles? And I just looked at her and I was just like, think about what you just asked me.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, yeah, you cool, like, fine.
You're
Like,
You're
good.
used to it. You've seen it.
Literally so much. I used to pretend that that's what I was shooting into me if someone saw me. I was like, it's just insulin.
Genius, though.
Yeah, it was just my immediate reaction because then people didn't question it.
Right. I have to bring things back a little bit
Okay.
because we were at a party recently.
We were.
Shocker. I leave the house.
I know, it's crazy.
Barely.
Same.
The only time is when I go to those parties. And we were playing Never Have I Ever.
We were, yeah.
As sober people.
As we do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be left out of the fun.
Yeah, I just love the fact that everyone was like drinking their drinks and then there was me and you with like a monster.
Yeah, I'm like, I still want to be involved.
I still want to play.
But we just ended up throwing people under the bus. But
we did.
You threw yourself under the bus.
Constantly.
And one of them was amazing, I have to say. Never have I ever slept with people that...
Two related people in the same day.
Which obviously left me very confused.
And then I was just there drinking my monster.
Yeah.
And you're like, how?
Yeah, like, more so the fact that everyone just brushed it off.
Yeah, that's what I found hilarious.
I was like, wait, hold on a second here. How did you end up sleeping with two people that were related in the same day?
Yeah, so, obviously, the whole prostitution thing. This whole thing.
You were a prostitute? Sorry.
It's almost like she doesn't know me. So I had a guy come in. He was like probably like a little bit older than me. And he paid for a blowjob and penetration, vaginal penetration, because I didn't do anal. That was my big thing. I was like, you are not putting your dirty dick.
I'll do heroin, but I won't do
anal. Okay, that is much. That is fucking much right there. I'll do heroin, but I won't do anal. That's my next pickup line.
You've got your priorities straight.
That's my new Tinder bio. Actually.
You're welcome.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
It used to be like, I'm a twat, but I won't show you my twat. But now it's...
Yeah, you can have it for free.
I'm going to have that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So he came in.
He came in, paid for a blowjob and vaginal penetration. It was like a run-of-the-mill thing.
It's a regular Tuesday for you.
Literally. But this guy was like very clearly enjoying himself.
He was having a good time.
He was having a very good time. He finished quite quickly, which was normally a relief for me because it meant two things.
Handy.
Like, two things. One, I didn't have to continue having sex with this person, but it's also I could fit in another person that day because...
Nice, more money.
More money. Well, more heroin.
Yes.
And he kept saying to me, like, afterwards, he was like, that was amazing, that was so good, like, oh my god, I need to do it again, kind of thing. And I was like, well, you can pay for it to have it again.
Yeah,
kind of
no for freezies here, my guy.
No for freezies. And he left. And then about 2 hours later, another guy comes in, considerably older this time. And he turns to my pimp and just goes, hi, my son was in here earlier and he told me about a girl that was really, really good. Like, apparently she got red hair because I had like bright red hair at the time. And then like he looked over to me and he was like, yeah, my son said you were really, really good in sex. Like, me and my wife haven't had sex in years. Like, and I was like, is this the kind of conversation you have with your son?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
How did that come up?
Like, in what sentence? I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that situation.
Yeah. Hey, son, how was your day? Really good, actually. I just got head from this girl. She's great. You should go try her.
Yeah, literally. Like, unless that's a kink thing. Is there a kink thing where you want your son's sloppy seconds?
If Rule 34. If you can think it, porn exists of it.
Literally. So yeah, he came in, and the dad was actually better in bed than the son.
Well, you would hope so. He's been alive longer.
Yeah, he's been alive longer. But yeah, so he had exactly the same thing, blowing vaginal.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else with that. I thought you meant that they had the same looking penis.
To be fair,
oh no,
like, I wouldn't say that like they were the same penis, but they were like the same kind of length. Genetics, my guy. But yeah, it was a really weird experience. I won't lie. It was honestly quite strange. But the thing is I still haven't figured out which one of them gave me gonorrhea.
No, because that was another one of my questions. Was like, have you ever had an STD?
Oh, quite a few. Yeah.
So they weren't using protection.
Not normally.
They were raw dogging.
Yeah. So occasionally, if you had a nice dude, you could like offer him a condom, but a lot of them would just like immediately whip it out and go to town on you. So I was lucky that I never contracted anything that would stay with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I either had chlamydia or gonorrhea, which you luckily can be treated. But I did almost catch Hep B. And it was only when I went into rehab and they had to give me like these immediate injections for Hep A and Hep B.
Yeah, because you get your bloods taken when you go in. Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, we need to give you these now. Otherwise I could have developed Hep B, which is crazy. Because like the thought of like just accidentally cutting yourself and making sure no one touches it because they could contract it. It's, like,
that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's like a similar thing. Obviously HIV is more like intense, but with Hep B it's the same thing as with HIV. You can't touch their blood.
Dear Lord.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
But luckily you didn't get it.
Luckily you didn't get it.
But you did get gonorrhea.
Yeah, and I tell you,
is that treatable?
Yeah, it is. So
okay.
It's 4 antibiotics followed by a shot, like a needle. Fun fact.
Woo! More
in
needles.
Your ass, and this needle is like this big.
It's a thick boy.
It's a thick boy. It's a long boy, and they put it between like your hip bone and your like butt cheek.
Yeah.
And I remember this nurse being like, "Okay, this is gonna hurt. And I
Oh,
was
no,
like,
dude.
don't tell me that. I'm like lying stark naked on a couch, like
Hit me like one of your
like
French
this,
girls.
literally.
Yeah.
And the moment she does it, I felt like I was about to jump off the table, like this hurt. But then she turned around to me after and she was like, you felt well for that. You were really brave. And I was like, fuck you. I am in
You
pain.
were a prostitute, but you were like, I feel violated.
100%.
This is when I feel violated.
Like,
You just did that.
Literally, like, it was the most horrific thing, and it really hurt. And I was just like, oh, I would rather like suck dick right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
But, oh my god, I have another question now that you mentioned that.
Okay. Is it about dick?
It is.
Okay.
Was there anybody that you're like, oh my god, wouldn't you wash first?
All the time.
Really?
So a lot of people that we'd have were like stereotypical nerd guys, neckbeard.
Okay, can't get laid.com.
Yeah, can'tgetlaid.com, 100%. And they're not always the most hygienic.
No, they have a reputation.
They have a horrible reputation.
Dick cheese. Oh my god, you did not see dick cheese, did you?
After like a while, after I'd like started seeing things like that, if someone had a dirty dick, I had a pan in my room full of water and soap.
Good.
And I'd be like, I am not touching that unless you go and clean it. Because once you've had it in your, like, dick cheese in your mouth, you just never want to do that again. It's disgusting. I vomited very hard.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't imagine full on dick cheese. Because I once gave head to a guy that tasted awful, and I swear I never went near a dick for a good 9 months.
Sometimes it's really off-putting if someone's, like, stuff tastes bad.
It just put me off. I was like, I don't ever want to see a penis again. It was that bad. I was like, no, get it away from me.
Oh
I refuse.
I mean, fair. Like,
It was fair.
I feel like I would have been in the situation I was in if I could just turn around and be like, I don't want to see a penis again.
That's a very fair point.
Like, it would have
Yeah.
been so much easier.
Yeah.
Like,
My life problems would have been solved a little sooner.
solved by being, oh my god, I should have just been a lesbian. That would have been so much easier. I mean, I'm half gay, as I like to put it.
Yeah.
I love being half gay. It's great.
But women aren't coming in for these services.
No, and I wish they had, because they probably would have just had a nice chat with them afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really talk to
What
them
happens after?
afterwards.
Have you ever had to like cuddle someone after?
No.
They just leave.
I was immediately, because I was so emotionally detached from it.
Yeah.
I was like, things like intimacy afterwards. Like, I had a rule of no kissing when we were
Fair.
having sex and bits like that, because
Oh, but like no kissing anyway, because like you know their breath be stanking.
yeah, that'd be pretty nasty.
Yeah, I just know that a 40-year-old guy who doesn't understand his dad breath. Sorry, Rick, I know you're a 40-year-old guy. But like, but it's always 40 where they don't realize that they've got that breath yet.
Get your halitosis away from me.
Yeah, so I feel like no kissing makes absolute sense.
Yeah, for me it was just like, because I could then separate the emotional side of things, because like when you like kiss and like touch each other in certain ways, there's like an intimacy to it.
Yeah,
And I didn't want that.
So you never had like any of those stories where people say like someone came in just for a hug?
No, I wish I'd had that. That would have been lovely.
Because I've heard so many of those stories.
I've had one where a guy came in just to talk.
Oh,
And it was like, it's because his wife had died.
that's always the thing. Yeah, I hear this a
and
lot.
he was just really lonely. He didn't want to fuck me. He just wanted to talk to someone. I was like, okay,
You're paying me.
you're paying me, and I'm getting blow from this. So
You're like you're so sweet. Come back all the time.
come back. You're nice. He only came there once.
Sorry, that could be
No, I
interpreted
know.
two
My
ways.
brain did exactly the same thing. Literally the same thing.
Any funny awkward stories, or is it just all traumatic?
No, I've got a funny one from when I was incredibly high. You may have heard this one before.
Hit me.
Okay, so I'm not welcome in Amsterdam anymore.
Oh Jesus!
So
How do you do that?
this is really, like, I want to point out something after I tell this story.
Okay.
So obviously when you're like young and you go to Amsterdam, like the only reason why you're going there is to smoke weed.
Yeah, you're not going for the Anne Frank museum,
You're-
are you?
That ties into this story.
Oh gee. Oh no.
So I had an edible
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh yeah, but I decided to like do another one straight afterwards.
Awful
and
idea.
I was very close to whiting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just walking down the road, like birds were singing, everything was grand. I was high as a kite, and I stepped in some dog poop, and I was so mad, man. I was like,
Ruining your vibe.
like I just bought a really nice pair of Jordans.
Well,
I stole the money to pay for them, but I bought a really nice pair of Jordans.
You had a pair. Yes.
And I was like, fuck's sake, my white thing. So I just look around for something to just scrape this shit off my shoe with. And I see a wall. So I just start scraping.
Like a building wall?
Yeah, just like a building wall.
Okay,
That's all it looked like.
I've done that before.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all it looked like to me. So I'm scraping this dog shit off my shoe. And I look up and there is a policeman staring at me absolutely mortified.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, why the fuck are you staring? But like, that was my why the fuck are you I look up, it's the Anne Frank Memorial. I am not a Nazi. I'm just putting it out there. I am not a Nazi.
Smeared shit on the Anne Frank Museum.
Yeah.
And what was the consequence?
I ran away very quickly.
In your stanky Jordans.
He did not catch me.
Oh.
When I say to you, like,
That's a hate crime.
I was a heroin addict, and even I felt bad about doing that one. Like,
yeah.
I've never been so mortified in my life. It's a great story for on stage, though.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, absolutely.
I love telling that.
You don't even have to. You don't have to fluff that one up.
I can literally just say it, and people are like,
you're just straight reminiscing.
You have two reactions. You have men that laugh their ass off, and middle-aged women that go.
Oh, that are just absolutely.
We love a good tut. We love a good tut.
Karen's in the audience.
Yeah.
Can't hack it. Well, that's pretty awful, dude.
Yeah. I'm a horrible human being.
Well, that was just you high on edibles.
That was just on edibles. Imagine what I've done on heroin that I don't remember.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, where are these stories?
Where are the lines?
Oh my god.
There's so much things I've done I don't remember. I woke up in freaking Notting Hill with a bike tyre mark on my chest, and I'd started the night back home. And I was like, how did I get here?
How did we get here? Right. But, okay, so we've gone through the trauma dump.
Yes.
You went to rehab.
I went to rehab.
You got sober.
I got sober.
Did you stay sober?
I relapsed once.
Okay. What age did you get sober?
Oh, God. 5-6 years ago now?
So what age were you?
I would have been 20 when I... Yeah, 20. I would have been 20 when I got sober.
So that was the first time you said, hi, I'm Sammi, I'm an addict. So, was 20?
Yeah. Well, no. So I was 19 when I went into rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Turned 20, relapsed on my 20th birthday.
Okay.
And then I've stayed sober since then.
Just 20. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so 20. Yeah, it's 5 years.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
That's an accomplishment. But, like, that means sober from all substances, right?
All substances. No drink, no drugs.
Dude.
Yeah.
Teach me. I relapsed, dude.
I
halfway through.
Yeah, it happens, bro. It fucking happens. I've already said if my mum dies, I'm back on it.
No.
Immediately. Like,
I relapsed on cheap red wine.
Oh no, you couldn't even be classy.
No, dude. Like, I came back from the guy's house. I was seeing this guy. I came home. I was in an awful place. Obviously,
yeah.
I had no feelings.
Good.
I was dissociative
to
the max. And my brain gremlin decided that it wanted booze. And I'd been wrestling with the idea for a couple of months, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my breaking point where I had no control.
Yeah.
So I went on a delivery app because I was in London.
Obviously.
And I ordered some booze. And I ordered cheap red wine. And it didn't... I ordered it maybe at like 1 a.m. It got there at like 3.
Oh my God.
I still drank it. I think I was sick.
It's the fact you said you think you were sick. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think I might have vomited in my bin.
Mood. That's a
But I
mood.
had a fake wicker bin.
Oh.
Fake wicker bin because of vomiting.
Yeah.
Because I had it in my room because if I was ever going to vomit, I didn't want it to be a wicker bin where it would go everywhere. It was a fake aesthetic. It's important.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, that was my relapse. It was not fun and exciting. Also, it was really sad.
Yeah.
So I hadn't drank alcohol for like 3.5 years, and I went out on a night out to a bar in London.
Yeah.
I didn't tell the person I was with because I was seeing this guy at the time. Didn't tell him I was drinking.
Yeah.
But I was smashing double vodka Red Bulls like it was nobody's business.
Yeah.
And it made me realize just how watered down the booze is here in England.
It really is.
Because I was like, I've had like 6 vodka Red Bulls.
And I am feeling shit.
And I am feeling nothing. Plus 3.5 years of sobriety. That's supposed to hit you.
It's
like
meant to hit you like a train, yeah.
Didn't. I was like, everyone's spending so much money on this.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
This is awful. I want my money back and some good booze.
Right? I was
Like,
so disappointed.
if I'm gonna relapse, at least make it good. Like,
That's why it was so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I told you already that at one of the parties I went to, I drank Smirnoff Ice
Nice, yes.
with vodka.
Yeah, you've just got a poor taste in alcohol.
I just didn't take my relapse seriously.
No, you didn't.
I
You were like,
didn't.
I'll do it, but I'll only half-ass
I
it.
thought I had longer.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna make it out of this.
Mm.
But then I kissed someone I shouldn't have.
Yeah, that happens.
And everyone in my flat hated me. There was 10 of us.
Yeah.
So I was immediately ostracized. And that guilt woke me up to the guilt of drinking.
Yeah.
As well as a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
But
Obviously.
like that was kind of...
But it was like a trigger moment.
Yeah, because I was like, I can get away with living here for a while drinking. Because like it was a warehouse. It was a party house. I was like, I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. This is all right.
But luckily those things happened.
Yes.
And it drove me to rehab. So...
Good job.
Thank you so much.
You did it.
All I'm saying, children, is if you're sober, relapse isn't worth it. It's really boring. And you'll never be able to drink all the drinks that you want to drink anyway, so don't bother.
I think it's one thing that I always kind of tend to say as well, though, is don't be ashamed of a relapse.
Yeah. But also...
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Because there's mixed things where it's like, I can't explain how disappointing that first glass of wine was.
Yeah.
Because, like, I drank my... Like, you're drinking and you're like, I'm drinking my sobriety away. And you're like, and it doesn't taste nice. It sucks, but it's not worth it.
It wasn't
and
worth
I can't
it.
explain that.
Yeah.
That feeling of, like... Because you'll never understand how disappointed you are in yourself.
I get what you mean, because that was like
Till you do it.
on my 20th birthday, because like luckily it wasn't heroin, it was cocaine, just because it's easier to get. But I specifically remember snorting it, getting the drip in the back of my throat.
Awful feeling.
Yeah, about 20 minutes later, being like, that wasn't worth it. Now I'm just sad and have a nosebleed.
No.
That's literally what it was. And I was just like, well, shit.
Yeah.
And I cried a lot.
Oh God, it's hard. Relapse is always hard.
Yeah.
But like from listening to other people that have relapsed, I heard a guy share about a relapse after 25 years.
Ow, that would kill you. It was like, honestly,
because like 3 years hurt.
I'm scared of it now. Like with being like 5-6 years, I'm just like, oh God.
But you always hear mixed things from people. Some people say it's the 4-year mark that kills you. Some people say it's the 8-year mark that gets you. And I'm just like, can you all just like make your mind up?
I just feel like it would just get me in general. I'm allowed to be sad, guys, that I decided to do this to myself again.
I think it's one of those things that when you relapse, realizing like it's okay to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Because if
That is
you
the thing.
relapse and you don't want to get better, that's when you're screwed.
That's when you're fucked, because you're just going down the same path you were initially going
And
down.
you're just going to kick off right where you left off.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
Yeah.
But focusing on the positive,
Yeah,
you've got your life back.
I have.
You have been sober for 5 years.
I have.
You are currently on tour, but by the time this comes out,
I won't be anymore.
you won't be anymore.
Yeah.
But you're touring.
I'm touring.
You're doing your dream job.
I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I love
Yeah.
Which
Making
is-
people laugh.
with my depression.
Absolutely.
Yeah, literally.
So
It's the dream, guys.
from prostitution to making you laugh at my depression.
That's my autobiography.
Yeah, literally. I'd love to know what the title of your autobiography would be. Oh my God.
Anne Frank's Memorial Oops.
Awful.
Anywho, I'm not a writer. I'd get a ghostwriter to write my own autobiography.
Do you want me to write your book for you?
Yeah, literally.
Oh
need it.
no. But everything's good now.
Everything is good. Everything is flowing. Obviously, like, I have my bad days and shit like that. And
Yeah.
It's not fun. And, you know, I've got medication that stops me from wanting to slip my
Wanting
wrist.
to do the die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, like, in general, yeah, I'm pretty decent. Let's just fucking hope it stays that way.
You can only do it a day at a time.
Literally.
Cheesy reference.
Cheesy reference.
Has to be done. Do you do meetings? You like me, you're kind of in and out.
Yeah, I'm not a huge one for it. I think I get really weird about talking to other people that have their own clear problem about my problem.
Nah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mine was, I'm not even going to go into my feelings about it. Like, I enjoy going to meetings. I like the social aspect. It's just like, sometimes I just don't want to go because I have to walk there and it's cold.
I get what you mean, actually. That's actually a fat mood.
Because like I can't go that much in the winter because meetings are all at nighttime
Yeah.
and I don't live in always the safest of areas. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I am not walking home at 9 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
like in the dark.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening. Also, I had a stalker once. It was awful. Anyway,
I've had stalkers. It's fucked up.
it's awful.
It's
so
not
it's like
good.
you don't really want to go to the late night meetings. And who can make a o'clock meeting on a Friday.
Who
Like,
gets out of bed that early?
really? You sleeping early?
I just sleep through the days on Fridays. Fridays don't exist to me.
Okay, fair enough. As long as it's just Friday. The rest of the week, are you up early?
Oh no, not really. No,
What time do you get up?
probably about like 11.
That's not too bad.
That's not the worst.
I thought you were gonna be like one of those people that's like 3.
Oh no, I'm not that bad.
Okay.
I genuinely feel like I've wasted a day if I've.
Yeah, that's
things.
off. That's not a nice feeling.
But like Fridays, I basically unless I've got a gig and then I'll go to the gig. But like my Friday's like my day of like I decide I'm Jesus.
that's your day of rest.
That's my day.
That's
of
your
rest.
Sabbath.
That is my Sabbath.
Isn't the Jewish day of Sabbath a Friday?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
I wish I knew more about religion than I actually do, but it's because I'm such an agnostic. I can't choose.
You're like, I want to pick a team, guys.
I want to pick a team. There's just so many options.
Yeah, there's too many of you guys all claiming to be the one. I don't know. I'm just gonna pick the safe side and say none. Right. Well, that's us.
That's that.
But before we go,
Yeah.
socials. Where can people find you? I'll link everything. By the way, it's going to be in the description box.
Good job.
But just in case,
Pretty much on everything. Sammy Dodger Minds on Instagram.
SAMMI.
SAMMI.
Just making sure.
Good
Sammy
job.
Dodger Minds on all social media platforms.
I named myself after a biscuit.
Original.
I know, right? But yeah, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
Do you have any tour dates later on in the year that you know of? Or do you have a dates page? Where can people find out if you're playing?
Mainly check my social medias if I'm announcing anything.
So like Instagram.
Instagram, Twitter.
Is that a good
things like
place?
that.
Okay, right.
Because there is something coming.
Something's brewing.
I just can't talk about it yet.
Okay, well guys, if you want to keep up to date with all the things Sammy Dodger's doing, you know where to find her. It'll be linked in the description. And just thank you so much for coming on
Thank
here.
you for having me.
Sharing your story, for just being all around bands.
I love that.
Right. Amazing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. If you have any guest suggestions, topic requests, or feedback, then hit me up in the YouTube comments. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode, or sign up to the Patreon for even more content. Have a happy day.